Hi, Deirdre Verbo here. Thanks so much for joining us in Let's Talk Seniors, Memory Care Issues, Alzheimer's, Dementia, and Parkinson's. Many of you know me as a real estate entrepreneur running the Southern Connecticut Real Estate Investor Association. I'm also a house flipper and a senior advocate and an author. So I recently wrote a book called Home to Home, the step-by-step guide, housing guide for seniors. And if you would like a copy, I'm very happy to send you one. It talks about how your senior, what to do with their home if they want to stay in it as they're older and they needed some assistance, what they could do with reverse mortgages or what they need to do to sell it, where they can go, and all sorts of different things. Also did a workbook and a planning guide on everything you need to know and everything your loved one needs to know, like your healthcare directives and where the money is, what your wishes are. So if anybody would like these, they do sell on Amazon, but I'm very happy to mail them to you for free. Email them to you or mail your hard copy. Just give me a call. My phone number will be at the end of the show. I am also a real estate entrepreneur who flips houses, and I am very interested in buying a house. If any senior is needing to sell quickly, we buy in cash. We love to buy and flip houses. And give me a call if you have a home that you would like to sell or like us to look at to consider what you should do with it. So we also started a residential assisted living in Shelton, Connecticut, opening in just a few weeks. We're so excited. So our residential assisted living is called Just Like Home because it is just like home. It is a home with only 6 bedrooms in it, just like a regular house, like a ranch house with 6 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, kitchen, living room, den, dining room, everything you'd have in your regular home. Nice, huge home on a nice, beautiful acre of property in a hunting section of Shelton. And we are opening it up to 6 seniors. It's a memory care home. So seniors with memory care issues. And we are so excited. We'll have the round-the-clock caregivers who will be taking care of your loved one. And it's a home. It's a family environment. You can come visit anytime you want after this COVID thing, day and night. And just, it's a beautiful place. It's affordable. It's COVID-free. It's just a wonderful thing. Tonight we have a special guest, and his name is Emmanuel Guarino. And Emmanuel, he and his family own and operate the Real Estate Assisted Living Academy in Arizona. I've actually gone out there to meet them and have had the privilege of meeting Emmanuel a few times now. He's been here as well. They teach entrepreneurs how to open and operate residential assisted living facilities, homes, because there are 47,000 of them across the nation, even though here in Connecticut, we have only 5. I'm opening the 6th one, but I'm hoping that after this one, there will be others because there is a big demand for it. Emmanuel has an extensive background in health and wellness, and he also owns residential assisted living homes and understands the culture very well. There are more than 77 million baby boomers preparing to retire over the next several decades. Residential assisted living is a comfortable home-style alternative to institutional living, such as a nursing home. This mega trend is helping seniors live out their lives when they cannot live at home anymore in the comfort of their home away from home. The concept is really sweeping the nation, and we hope it really catches on here in Connecticut. So without further ado, we would like to welcome Emmanuel, who will be discussing the options for care homes and what you could do, where you can put your senior when it's time for them not to live at home anymore. Welcome, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for joining us. As usual, it's wonderful to see you.
Glad to be here.
You're looking good with the beard.
Yes.
I like the addition. Yeah, very manly. Yeah, makes you look
very
older.
good.
So that's a good thing. So, Emmanuel, last time you were here, you were talking about how you got started in residential assisted living. And you have a very moving story, as your family does, about finding a care home for your own grandmother and realizing that this was the best solution for her. So you started opening up the residential assisted living and then started teaching others because you really want to spread the word. And I just love it. And your family's wonderful and great for doing that. And I know there's a lot of different kinds, and people are very confused at all their choices. Where to turn? How do you find what the choices are? What's the best choice for your senior? What kind of things do you look at? Does it matter if your person's shy or outgoing, or what their special needs are, if they're ambulatory or if they have memory care issues? Like, could you tell us a little bit about how people choose? And I know you also sell residential homes and all. So give us a little bit about what people should be looking for and how they should be looking for them.
Yeah. And, we were talking a little bit about this before the show started. Really, when it comes to senior care, there's really three main ways that if you need assisted living care, you can get that. So the first way is moving someone into your home or having someone come to your home each day, be with you, 24 hours a day, 6 hours a day, 4 hours a day, whatever that thing is. The challenge with that is many times we don't just need help for 1 or 2 or 3 hours. We need help a lot of the time. And it might just be a couple things here or there. So it can be a little bit of overkill. That's the first thing. But also you got a stranger coming into your home, and that can be a little odd as well. The other challenge with that is it's also very, very expensive to have someone come into your home and be there. The national average is roughly about $23, $24 an hour to hire a company who hires a caregiver out to come to your house to do that. Now, that can work very well for some people who might just need a little bit of help, a couple hours a day. But for a lot of families, what they do is they usually start with something like that. They have someone come into the home, and then they realize, well, once that caregiver goes back home, we're on the clock. And now we're coming from our job. Now we're there, and they're working 24 hours a day. And a lot of people get burnt out from doing that. And that's a tough thing, just having to, let your parents know that you might not be that best person to be taking care of them. And that can be a bit of a challenge. And so that next step, if someone is, a little bit more independent, but maybe needs some assisted living, might be what we call the bigger box facilities, right? So that might be 100 people, 200, 300 plus people in one building. And that can be okay. The caregiver to resident ratio, though, is usually a lot lower. And we were talking about it before the show started. It's kind of like a giant cruise ship, on those in those facilities, because, you got the group eating and, you got some caregivers, but you don't have a really high caregiver to resident ratio in those facilities. So that's kind of the downside, is they can be very beautiful. If you're a little bit more independent, that might be the way to go. But really what we do, and really in my opinion, the best choice, are residential assisted livings, which kind of exist right in the middle of that. So it's in a home, just like you were talking about, and you have your home, which is beautiful, great option. It's a home atmosphere. It's in a home environment. The caregiver to resident ratio is a lot better. And, what we're talking about here is residential assisted living. So it might be 10 elderly residents living in a home and 2 caregivers taking care of them during the day and during the night, helping them out with their activities of daily living. So making sure that, whenever they need help, they have someone there that can help them with that. And what's nice about this is, instead of them being alone in their own home where they're all by themselves, and instead of them moving in with 300 strangers, which is a bit daunting at that stage of their lives, they can move in with, 5, 10, 15 people and have that socialization, but also have that level of care that you really want. So it's a little bit of that best of both worlds. And that's what we teach on. That's what we do. We own these homes. We teach on them. I sell them. And, you're getting into the industry as well. You have a beautiful home, as I mentioned. And if someone's in Connecticut, your home is one of the first places that they should look. That's for sure.
So how do people go about knowing what level of care their person should be looking at and should be looking towards the future? If you have a little bit of memory care, is it?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Get bad and you're going to need a lot of memory care, or
right. With our homes, we're helping out with activities of daily living. So when we think about activities of daily living, cooking, cleaning, getting up and out of bed, or bathing, showering, getting up and out of a couch. And if you think about it, let's say you just have one activity of daily living that you need help with, and that's getting up and out of a chair. So let's say you get into the chair in the morning, you got some great energy, but now you can't get out of that chair. Well, how much more do you need? You need someone there to help you be able to get out of those chairs, be able to move around, because if you don't have that, then you literally could just be stuck there, and that could be a terrible thing. Just happen. So really, it comes down to
That happens to me sometimes, Emmanuel. If I
right.
watch too much TV, I just can't get up if I watch
Right.
too much TV. That's why I don't watch so much TV. No, but I know what you mean. You don't want
Yes.
to be
No,
stuck.
sounds like me after Thanksgiving dinner, right? So
No, but it's true, because even my aunt, I'd experienced my aunt who was very independent, even driving, but she kept shrinking, but she was driving and very independent on an apartment, and she fell literally like a foot from her phone and was on the ground for like 2 hours and couldn't get up. So even though she was very independent, once she fell, she couldn't get up. She couldn't reach the phone. She couldn't anything. So it's a really tricky situation, even when you're super independent and you have your faculties there. Just a simple fall where you don't even break anything, it's hard to get yourself off the ground or off a chair and it's crazy to be stuck like that.
Oh, yeah. The other thing too is if you're having trouble, cooking, for an example, and let's say instead of cooking a 4-course meal like you might when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, now you're getting a little bit older, cooking, moving around, running from over here to over here becomes a little bit tougher. So you start eating easier options. And the easier things to eat, highly processed foods, you get some cereals and cakes and, bars, things like that. Those can be a good quick snack. However, those foods are highly processed. They usually have lots of sugars, lots of salts, stuff that's not great for you. And so that can really deteriorate your health as well and can make you age very rapidly. And, many times, you'll see your grandma or grandpa, mom or dad, you'll see them once a year, once every 6 months, things like that. And sometimes you see a loved one and you haven't seen them in a little while, but you see them, 1 year later and it's like, whoa, they aged 10 years. And that can do a lot to diet. That can also be due to a lot of, being alone. If they're not able to get out and see friends, see other people, it just starts to weigh on them quite a bit. So all of these things are really, really important. Even if it's just one activity of daily living, they might be eligible to be, moving into a home. So that way they're good to go.
You touch on diet, Emmanuel, and that's so important, because I think that when nobody's watching you, I can tell you that my father-in-law, I guess when you get older, one of your senses, your taste for sweet is very exaggerated, and it's one of the last taste buds you have. So elderly people eat a lot of sweets. So I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm older, because I already eat a lot of chocolate every day. But I'm just going to be like, somebody's going to have to watch over me. But it's so true that dehydration is a big issue, because you don't have the thirst that you had earlier, but you're getting dehydrated, and dehydration can cause a lot of brain and memory functions issues. And my dad was almost died from dehydration. He was asleep for like 36 hours. So it just from being dehydrated, like it's a big issue when you're older. And the food, like a lot of my older relatives that live alone, they just eat like microwavable meals and toast. They're like, your appetite is different, but you need to stay healthy. So it's great to have these home cooked meals that you love, not just like, here's your food, but you get to plan the menu because it's a small home, and you get to eat what you love and get your choices for breakfast. And it's just like a regular home, but somebody's making sure you're staying healthy, you're hydrating, you're not, drinking coffee and soda all day.
Right. Well, even, if you think about it, during quarantine, alcohol sales were up 300%. I believe a lot of studies were showing. And when you don't have a whole lot you're doing, if you're just sitting and, you can't get out and you can't be doing this, you're not talking with people, a lot of people just, I wish there was a better way to term it, but they turn to the bottle, and they just go, well, this is fun, if I'm going to be by myself and this and that. So having that a social atmosphere, having someone be able to say, hey, that's enough with the drinks, maybe just one, instead of 2 or 3 or 4, because, just like with a lot of things, it's just adding on top of each other. So if you have 3 or 4 drinks in a day, that's not a problem. But if you have that every day for 6 months straight, you're going to start seeing big changes in your body, in your cells, in all those things. So it's very important, that diet, having those people around you that care about you, having that socialization so you don't have to just be sitting there bored, drinking or not drinking, like we're talking about drinking water. If you're drinking alcohol and no water, that's dehydrating you. Water is hydrating you. So having those people around you that care, that can be looking over you, that's a very, very important thing.
Yeah, people don't even realize. I was doing a program called Friendly Shoppers and Friendly Visitors where I hooked up homebound seniors with people that could food shop for them. And this one gentleman who was never dressed, never showered, in a bathrobe, never left his house, grumpy, hardly spoke. We would shop for him once a week. The person was shopping for him was amazed. He didn't talk to her for weeks, but every week his house was cleaner, he was shaven, he was dressed, he was ready for her. He was just looking forward to seeing her. So he was like, came alive just with her once a week visit. And then he did start talking to her and socializing. But before, if you're all by yourself and have nobody to get showered for or dressed for or shaved for, you get into a big slump or a rut. So it's the socialization helps so much that you have other people around, and just having people visit, like other families visiting, whether it's your family or other visitors coming, or having pets around, things that you might not have anymore because hard to take care of a pet when you're 85. It's so great. It keeps you alive. It keeps you lively. It just is. It brings more life into everything. It's super. So I'm sure you've heard and seen some great stories about people that were on the brink of, loneliness and death, and have just come alive and stayed alive, coming in a residential system.
Yeah, many times people come into our homes and they'll say, well, this person has 1 year, 6 months, whatever that timeline is, and they live for another 5 years. They're going, wow, And what's interesting is, sometimes you'll see this in homes as well, where after a big milestone, people will pass away. 100th birthday, right? That's a big milestone. And, at that age, sometimes it's just having that thing to look forward to, that will in our soul that keeps us going, right? So that person coming by each day, it's like, wow, that gives me purpose. I got to look good. I got to clean up my house. I got to do this, and, when people see that, when they have that person around where they're trying to look really good for them or things like that, that can really help a lot. So completely agree with you there.
So now, how do people check out these homes to make sure they're a good fit? Do they get to come for a meal? Do they get to come for overnight, a week or two? Do you have like a respite time? What do you recommend people do if they like a home, but they've been living in their house for 60 years? It's a huge move. They could be moving to another state by their kids, and they just have trepidations about just the whole thing.
Yeah.
What can you do to ease them into it? What should their kids or loved ones do to help them choose? They don't feel like, something is forced upon them that they are not sure of and feeling uncomfortable about.
Yeah. So, the first thing is picking out the location. Do you want them to live by you? Do you want them to live where they live? Where's the best location for your loved one? Really, ideally that's going to be somewhere nearby you, that's in a very safe area, that's in a very nice area. So there's nothing to worry about from that standpoint. But on the other thing, you want to make sure that the home looks good, it feels good. Like we talked about, when you're in a nicer environment, when, it's a place that's not worried about, let's keep the lights on, or, let's turn the lights off because that's going to save us a few pennies, that can make a really, really big difference. So the real estate, right? Just how does it look? How does it feel when you're in there? For me, I'm a very visual person. If my lights aren't on just the right way, it kind of can throw off my mood. So when someone is looking at a place, you want to make sure that all these little things are in place. But also, in my opinion, the biggest thing is talking to that owner, talking to that manager, getting a good feel for their heart. Sometimes it's not about the experience. Just because someone's been in business for a long time doesn't mean they're great. I have a Burger King down my street, and I have an In-N-Out Burger down my street. And on the East Coast, I don't have In-N-Out Burger, but big in California and Arizona. But it's a terrific hamburger versus a Burger King hamburger. And there's one car in the line for Burger King and there's 50 in line for the In-N-Out burger.
Wow.
And really, the big thing is it's not about if someone's been in business for 10 years, 1 year, they're just getting open. It's, that heart of that person, of that manager, making sure that these are people that, hey, I want my mom or my dad to be with them, because that's who's ultimately responsible, is those people who are watching over them. That's their job, is making sure that they're doing good and living a great life.
So that makes the person, whether it's a spouse or a loved one, putting that parent in a home or a relative. But what about the person themselves feeling comfortable and being really nervous about going? Are there things that, can they stay overnight if you're not, or can they visit for lunch and dinner, or what kind of things
Yeah,
do to make
most
them
definitely. And we would want them, to come into that home and get a feel for everything and feel comfortable in that environment. And, really, we wouldn't shy away from anything like that, because once they're in that home, they're going to feel very, very comfortable about being there. Many times it will be the children's decision of where their, mom or dad is going to be going, because their mom or dad needs that help. And if it was up to their mom or dad, they just stay in their own home, just like we're talking about, and they really need that help. So it is an important thing for them to be able to tour the home, to see it. If they wanted to do an overnight, I guess they could do that as well. But really, once they get into that home, they take a look around, they'll have a really good feeling for that home. And that is really an important thing, just like you're saying.
So get a feel for the home, get a feel for the other people, if they're talking, if they're interacting, if they're joyful, or if they're, sleeping in the chair, and what the managers are doing and saying, and go different times of the day maybe, and take out a meal, see what they do at mealtime. Because if like my mother-in-law was in a place nobody talked at all because they were very advanced, Alzheimer's. But if you're there and you realize that you're talking and nobody else verbal, that's probably not the home for you.
Yeah, we want to make sure it's kind of the same level, just like you're talking about. If you don't have memory care issues and you're going into a home like that, that can be not the right fit at all. So you do want to make sure that, the people in the home are around the same level of need that you are in, because vice versa. If you're in a home where you need a lot of help and nobody else needs help, that can be a little bit, tough as well. So looking at the needs of the residents, how the caregivers are interacting with the residents, the manager, all those things, those are very important to be looking at.
Right, because if you really are not mobile or don't like to go out and it's an active home and they're always doing outings and you feel kind of left out, if you really didn't want to do outings or that wasn't your thing or you just were not capable of it, yeah, you have to kind of choose that.
Yeah.
So people can go tour these different homes and see what they're all about.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Come on in and check it out. And obviously, with everything going on right now in the current environment, we'd want to wait just for everything to pass over. So that way, it's nice and safe. And everyone that's coming into the home, we want to make sure that they are, appropriate to be coming into that home. So all the proper tests, documentation, we'd want to make sure we have that taken care of as well.
And nursing homes. What about nursing homes? When do people need a nursing home?
So a nursing home is going to be a home where someone would go to after assisted living or skip assisted living altogether. This is where someone needs medical attention. So this is nurses, doctors in this home. And this is more medical than it is activities of daily living. So activities of daily living, non-medical, nursing homes, doctors, nurses, medical is what we think with that.
And that's the most expensive care.
That would be, yes, very, very expensive. The national average right now to be in a private room in an assisted living is, I think, right around about $4,100, $4,000 to be in a room. For nursing care, that can get up into $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 on average. So incredibly expensive and very hard to afford that as well. Yeah.
I'm just laughing because in Connecticut it's about $19,000.
You're right, exactly.
But I get the national average. Yeah, it is quite expensive. We had a great speaker on yesterday talking about Title 19 spend down and how people could save if your spouse with money, how you don't have to lose your home and lose everything based on your spouse needing to go into a nursing home. Is really eye-opening. It was great. So if there's, ways to do it and ways to afford it. I think people also think that it's cost effective often to keep their parents at home. But if you're paying $25 an hour for just like 6 hours a day, that's over $1,000 a week or $4,000 a month.
Right.
If you also have to pay for the taxes on a house, even if your house is taken care of, and the upkeep and the electric and the heat and the water and the sewer and everything that goes with the home, you're talking about a whole lot more money. And, you have to fix all the repairs and, do all that kind of stuff and the food. So it really isn't as cost savings as you think, keeping somebody in their home, even if they want to be. And I know people seem like they want to be in their home, but it's only because they're oftentimes afraid of what else is out there, or they're so used to their home. But when you're just becoming very insular and have nobody really to interact with, and then you bring in like one person, they're kind of bored. It's kind of boring because it's just you and they, the two of you, and it's there's not much going on. So even though you have that constant one-on-one care, it's not as interesting or stimulating or mind stimulating as it could be with a lot of other people around.
Yeah.
And
Most
I think
definitely. And the other thing too is you have a stranger coming into your home, and if you have, the jewel from the Titanic, up on your counter or something, and all of a sudden it's gone, that person, it's a stranger coming into your home, versus when someone's moving into an assisted living, they've given their valuables, their most prized possessions to their family. So that way they're not worried about those type of issues as well. As in addition, as you were saying, just those additional expenses with the house, with the food, with the everything, it can just become very, very expensive very quickly. And also you don't need 24 hours of care, constant attention. You need help when you need help. So it is better to offset that cost. And it's much more affordable when you are living in a residential assisted living home from that standpoint.
It's funny you mentioned the jewels, because my girlfriend hired a caretaker last year for her mom, who's 90. And her mother wants to stay in her house. Well, actually, now she's moving to assisted living as soon as COVID opens up. They already picked a place, but she had a pretty significant diamond engagement ring. And my girlfriend was very worried about it. So she kind of tricked her mom. She took her ring to a jeweler and had a cubic zirconium made. Then took her mother back to the jewelry store, and she was wearing the ring. And she said, "Mom, just let the jeweler clean your ring." And her mother said, "I'm not taking my ring off for anybody. He could steal it." And she's like, no, he's just going to clean it. He's cleaning mine too. And so she gave it to him while they stood there, and he traded it for the cubic zirconia. So, and I was like, "Why did you do that?" And she said, "Well, because we have caretakers. And I heard that oftentimes this happens. How would anybody know or suspect?
Right.
Your caretaker could be like 5 years gone, and then your parent dies, and you inherit a ring, and years later you're going to get appraised or something, and you're like, it's not a ring,
Yeah.
So these are things I wouldn't even consider, except other people tell you these stories. And I'm not saying, caretakers are horrible people. It's just that you don't know what's happening, because it's just your mom or your dad and the one person. So you do have to be very careful as to what's going on.
Most definitely want to be careful. And by the way, those zirconian crystals and whatever, they look like the real thing. So that's a very good strategy. And I'm sure she never picked up on that.
Oh, she didn't. My girlfriend took the diamond home and kept it safe. So I was like, that's cool. But I just went to visit another person, and that wanted me to buy their home. The woman is 97, sharp as a tack, but her husband is 93, and he wanted to die in the house because his family built the house. So he died 2 weeks ago. Wow. This poor 97-year-old woman only has the house and $1,300 a month of income. Wow. So now she's like, what do I do? Without his Social Security and his pension. She now has to quickly sell their family home. So people need a little better planning than that. And even though he wanted to stay in that house, she was his caretaker for 20 years, and she's 97.
Wow.
So since she
Wow.
was like 80 till almost 100, she was caretaking. I mean,
Wow.
that's a big strain.
Yeah.
And I get to do things I love, but it's like, it's tough. It's a tough road.
Mm.
Tough
Very
road.
tough. Very
I
tough.
know there are alternatives.
Hmm. Most definitely. Most definitely.
Even, do you have situations where a husband and wife can go in together to the assisted living?
Oh yeah, that does happen. And when someone's moving into an assisted living, just as that situation you were describing, usually one of the spouses take care of the other spouse, and then when that other spouse can no longer take care of them, then that one spouse will move into the assisted living, and sometimes it's both of them will be moving into that assisted living together. And so that does happen occasionally, and that might be an opportunity where if you have a master bedroom in your home, they're moving into that room right there. But usually it's just going to be one or the other, or eventually it might be both of them at some point together. But usually just one of them at a time is what we've seen.
But I know of some couples that have moved together,
Oh
and
yeah.
so nice because even though one might need more care than the other, it's kind of tough when you're in your 90s to be taking care of somebody else.
Hmm. Oh
It's
yeah.
tough to be the major caretaker and bathing somebody and showering them and doing everything for them. And you yourself are not young and
Yep.
use some help. So it's always, yeah.
And it's very difficult as well because we're not all cut out for that position. And that can be a very tough thing to be doing that, every single day. And so it's just emotionally, not only physically, is that a tough thing to do. So sometimes it does make a lot of sense for them both just to move into that assisted living. Even if one of them doesn't really need as much care, at least they're able to be by that loved one
Yeah.
by their side.
So, Emmanuel, if somebody were looking for residential assisted living, besides mine here in Connecticut, how would they find one for a loved one across the country? There's people watching us across the country. Is there one place they could go to look for these homes?
That's a great question. Obviously, the search engine Google is going to be a great place to start. But really, when it comes to assisted living, you're going to want to try to get some recommendations or talk to people who have put a loved one in a facility, in a home, and get their feedback from that and see what they looked for, what they liked, what to be checking for, just like we were talking about earlier in the show. But really, you want to check out as many options as you can. And as we were mentioning too, just because someone is, the oldest home or the oldest facility around doesn't mean that they're the best. Just like Burger King is not the best. So we want to find out where are the best options, and really that's just doing that research, asking friends and family, going on websites, and asking senior referral agents. There are people where what they do is their full-time position is they help seniors move into homes, facilities, acquire a caregiver, find that need that they need and help them out with that. So finding those placement agents, and that would be online as well. So building those relationships too.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. The senior placement agencies don't cost anything to the senior. And
Mm-hmm.
they could really suggest, they've been to all the homes, so they know really what your level is, what the level of the different homes are, and they visit them all the time. So you don't have to go around to 30 places. Super duper. Do you have any parting words for us, Emmanuel, before we let you go?
My parting words would just be stay safe. And, if someone's looking to learn more about what we do, obviously check out the Residential Assisted Living Academy. I think we have my number below as well there.
Yeah.
But, I just want to thank you for all that you're doing, just, educating the public and, helping everyone out who needs these type of services. This is a great resource for them. So if you're watching, keep watching and, let her know what you can do to help.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I look forward to seeing you again, and thank you so much for all the great information. You're
Right
always
here in
amazing.
Columbia. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today on Let's Talk Seniors Memory Care Issues. Please, if you have any questions for Emmanuel, just dial 480-567-8264. And, I promised I would give you my information. If you want a free book, my information is 203-689-7562. It's dvervo@gmail.com. Never sure where to look here. But I will be happy to send you a free home-to-home book for your senior on what to do with their home. And if you do have a senior in need of selling a home quickly, if they need to go into assisted living, please give me a call. Come tour my house, but if they need also to sell their house quickly and move anywhere, I am happy to come look at it and see what we could do for them. So again, I'm Deirdre Vervo, and it has been my pleasure talking with you today. I love seniors, and I will be talking to you again tomorrow. Till then.
Hi, Deirdre here again. Thank you for joining me on Let's Talk Seniors Memory Care Issues. Is this an issue hitting home? Do you have a parent or loved one with memory care issues who you feel is not safe at home anymore? Are isolation, falls, and safety issues becoming a big concern? Welcome to Dogwood Senior Home, premier boutique residential senior living specializing in memory care. It's country living at its best in the Huntington section of Shelton, Connecticut. We're truly a home with only 6 senior residents living as one family unit. Senior residential homes are concepts sweeping the nation with 47,000 across the U.S. We're pleased to open Dogwood Senior Home as it will be only number 6 for Connecticut. Brand new, sparkling clean, opening mid-June. And safe, safe, safe. We are COVID-free. Residential care homes boast a very low COVID infection rate across the nation. This is due to the intimacy of size and speed in which the caretakers can shift to accommodate immediate needs. They are much safer than the large homes and facilities, as you can imagine. It has been documented that residents have less falls and a better quality of life in a residential home environment. Our home is more affordable than the big box facility. You pay one all-inclusive price, and that price is guaranteed for the life of the resident. With an incredible 1-to-3 caregiver ratio, which you won't find anywhere else. Our friendly, loving caregivers are dedicated and trained in Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's issues. We're only taking 6 residents, so the home will fill up fast. Call me at 203-689-7562 for a talk and tour. I would love to meet you and your loved one. See you soon. Bye.